Oh, hey, what's up, you guys? How's it going? It's Papa, and it's been a while since I've been in front of the camera, and the reason for that is because, well, I was waiting for a new ban list, just like everybody else has been. The ban list is out, and I'm finally glad to be able to make content again. I'm doing really well. I hope you guys are doing very well. It has been a while, like I said, so I do apologize for the wait, but again, I wanted to wait so that way I don't get burnt out of the game. I don't want to be making myself have to make videos. I wanted to be able to want to make videos, and honestly, that's basically what it's felt like, is that I've been having to do it instead of wanting to do it. But now I feel a lot better about having the ban list out, being able to post content without having to worry about something happening to where it's going to be irrelevant in the next coming days or whatever. But I'm really excited about this one because, of course, it's another Spright deck. While I was gone, I had a lot of people asking for updates on the current version of the Spright Fiendsmith deck that I've been playing, and honestly, I don't really have too many updates to it. I mean, granted, yes, we did lose Lacrima, but I was never really making it. Sorry. But honestly, the deck does have a lot more wiggle room now that Lacrima is banned. Now I don't have to play cards like Sequence. I don't have to play the Desiree. Beatrice is gone, thankfully, because that card was actually an issue. I do still feel like Spright is in a really good spot this format. I mean, at least until we get the Rage of the Abyss set, I do feel like Spright will sneak in a couple wins from here on there. But basically, until we start getting like the new support from Rage of the Abyss, I feel like that's when it will start to fall off. But we still have a few weeks until that happens, so I want to go ahead and showcase you guys my second place Spright deck profile.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
So yeah, without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and just jump into the deck. But before we do, I just want to go ahead and just ask you guys to please like and subscribe for more content, because if you do like and subscribe, it lets me know that I'm doing something right. So yes, without further ado, here is the deck profile. Of course, we are on 3 copies of Spright Blue, and then we got to play 3 copies of Jet. Still playing 1 Pixies. 1 Spright Red and 1 Spright Carrot. The reasoning I'm still playing Pixies is because it makes it to where if you need just an extra body just for linking off, or if you need it to protect like your Toad, or you need to protect your Gigantic, your Sprint, whatever it may be, Pixies is just there for all of those resources. Granted, it could be another Carrot, it could be another Red, it's all up to preference, but honestly, I have really been liking Pixies, and I still feel like it is a mainstay. Then of course we are on 3 copies of Spright Starter, the best card in the deck, honestly, and then 1 copy of Spright Double Cross. I still feel like this card is good. I am liking it a whole lot more now that I am playing Ibly in the side deck, and then on top of that, just being able to get that double Toad negate is very strong as well, and it just has so many usages. I don't really feel like Smashers is needed anymore, unfortunately. I do really like Smashers, and longtime viewers of the channel will know how much I like Smashers, but honestly, playing the Double Cross is just infinitely better. So that's going to round off the Spright component. Next, we are on the Fiendsmith package, so we play 1 copy of Lurie, 3 copies of Engraver, and then 1 copy of Fiendsmith Track. This is the same package that I was playing in the last iteration of this deck. I mean, granted, now that you don't have Beatrice, you are basically ending on the DDD Wave King, basically making it to where it helps you play around cards like Nibiru, and then it is also just very good for decks like Tenpai, and also very good for like Branded Fusion. Basically just being able to set up the DVD to just help push out more forms of interruption is just very strong. So very good. And then also it makes it to where if you open up the Larry for like say your opening hand and then you just have Spright names, then it's also still strong because you can just use this as your normal summon, because you don't really normal summon too much in this deck. Granted, you could use Beaver, you could use Swap Frog, but this isn't a bad normal summon either. So that's it for the Fiendsmith package. For the Nimbles, of course, we're still playing them. We play 3 copies of Beaver, 2 copies of Nimble Angler, and then I guess this is the Soodle Nimble package as well. 2 copies of Swap Frog with the 1 Mirror Mage of the Ice Barrier, and of course we are on the Freezing Chains as well. Now you can play 3 Swap Frog if you want to. I am on a perfect 40 right now, so I am opting to just play 2. After all the testing that I've done, I have never missed the 3rd Swap Frog, and honestly, if you prefer the 3rd Swap Frog, that's totally okay. Again, it is all up to preference, but honestly, after playing the deck for as long as I have now, I still feel like 2 is a very good number. If anything, I could probably suggest playing an Hyperia as well. If you want to play an Hyperia, that is also a very strong card that I have considered, but this is a very different build that I have been playing in the past that I'm about to show you after this next part, but this is just the engine that I have been liking for the Nimbles and basically the rest of the water cards in the deck, but that's it for that engine. Something new I wanted to try was I played 1 copy of Emergency Teleport as well as 1 copy of PSY-Frame Driver, 1 copy of PSY-Frame Gear Gamma, and then 2 copies of Delta. Granted, this was okay. I think if anything, I kind of wish I played a 3rd Delta as well as the Gamma. I didn't see Gamma at all, no shocker there because the card's at 1, but I did see Delta quite a bit. If anything, I wanted to see this card more because most of the time for my end boards, I was ending on Lambda as opposed to Masquerena, mainly because if you end on Masquerena, it means you don't have a PSY-Frame, and if you end on the Lambda, then it means you do have a PSY-Frame in hand. But basically, I just wanted to try it, and honestly, it was very good. Delta was in here for basically the Tenpai matchup. This deck has a really hard matchup against Tenpai, mainly because of the amount of board breakers it plays. Basically, I went undefeated the whole tournament, and then the only thing I lost to was game 3. I set up the whole Fiendsmith Spright board, and then lost to Double Raigeki, Harpy Feather Duster, and what's it called? Pot of Prosperity off the top. Cards at 1, but you would never believe it. So I opted to play Delta just to help me with certain board breakers because, again, board breakers just absolutely destroyed this deck. And honestly, the card was very strong, and I played the E-Telly to basically where after you resolve the PSY-Frames, whether it's during your turn, whether it's during your opponent's turn, then you still have an extra form of extending. So I didn't want any of the cards to be dead. Basically the only brick in the deck was the driver, so it is what it is. But if anything, going forward, I want to try and find room for a 3rd Delta because honestly this package was a lot stronger than I thought it would be. And then just for the rest of the non-engine, we were on 3 copies of Ash Blossom. This was the only hand trap I played other than the PSY-Frames, and honestly it was fine. I only drew it like maybe a couple times, but it was just there for sauce essentially because basically the end board you put up with Sprite is just so strong to where you don't need the hand traps, but if you open up a hand trap, then no harm, no foul. It's just more forms of interruption. And then for this build, I was on 3 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. This card was very, very good. I definitely think you need to play 3 in a combo-centric deck like this. Basically, any kind of hand trap doesn't really stop this deck per se, but it just gives you more knowledge as to what your opponent has. And I did see this card a lot. This card was very strong for both going first and going second. I definitely think 3 was the right call. I also played the Called by the Grave as well, just for extra form of hand trap bait or whatever it may be, because honestly, since I'm only playing Ash, this was able to stop cards like Valor, Ghost Mourner, whatever it may be. I didn't really see it, but I think I saw it like once, but it stopped essentially not Ash, but I didn't even draw Ash, so it didn't really matter. But Call by the Grave, of course, you still have to play it, and 3 talents was just perfect. And then instead of the Angel statue, I am playing the Scylla Hat Rabbit, but I opted to play the Trick instead this time around, and honestly, it's okay. I don't think this card's better than the Angel statue, but I wanted to try it because I was told to try it, and after trying it, honestly, I think I'd just rather play the statue instead. But that's going to round off the non-engine for the deck. But on that, we are on a clean 40, no more, no less. I think if anything, again, I want to switch this back to the Angel statue, and I want to find room for a 3rd Delta. I don't know how possible that's going to be with how tight the deck is, because I've already had to cut Swap Frog down to 2. If anything, I might just take out the PSY-Frames in general and maybe side deck them for like board breaker matchups, but it really just depends. Honestly, I'm not too sure, but I just need to do a little bit more testing because I still like this deck a lot. I'm just going to move on to the side deck because I don't think it's as important as the extra deck because, again, it is just depending on your locals, but this is just what I played for the first tournament post Banlist. 1 Red Resonator because it's the mandatory tuner. 1 copy of Corruptor Ibly. Card is still very strong. This is basically just how you win most of your matchups. It makes it to where your opponent can't evenly you, they can't lightning storm you. It's so good. It's very, very good. Every time I was able to resolve Ibly, the game was over. So especially after you gigantic them. So you gigantic, summon this, and then you link off, and then basically this goes to their field, so it can't get hit by like a Bestial or anything, so it's very strong there. Ibly is just very, very good, so I highly recommend if you are going to play Sprite, please play Ibly. And then instead of Mulch Army, I opted to play Phantasme this time around. This was mainly for Fire and for Yubel, but I didn't play against either of those decks. It was really just Tenpai heavy locals as per usual, but Phantasme is good. I definitely like this card a lot. I like the idea of it because I played just a whole bunch of cards for going second, like the Gamma Burst, for example, the 1 Feather Duster. We played 2 copies of Lightning Storm, 3 copies of Droplet, and lastly 3 copies of Evenly. I just felt that if I opted to play more board breakers, then I just had a better chance for going second, because since I was already playing a very small hand trap lineup, I just felt like being able to side into board breakers was better than siding into more hand traps. And then also, like, my Mulch Army kept getting ashed or it got called by the grave. It just wasn't ever resolving. So I wanted to try something different, but I never saw it, so I can't really say if it was good or not. But that's basically it for the side deck. I would probably try it again just because, again, I want to see how good it is at my locals first. But if I do change anything, I will let you guys know. And to round off, of course, we have the extra deck. We play the one Moon of the Closed Heaven. Don't know how this card didn't get hit on the ban list, but honestly, the Lacrima was honestly the much better hit, so thank you, Konami. Then we play one copy of Fiendsmith Requiem. Card is just busted. One copy of Spright Sprint. You don't need a second one. I think the one is fine. One copy of Silhouette Rabbit. This card's insane. Basically, every time this card resolves, putting you just into a really well position to win the game from there. I've never had an issue with this card. I think this card is amazing. One copy of IP Masquerena. Card is also very good. Again, like I said, if I didn't have a PSY-Frame in hand, I was ending on Masquerena or I was making the Rabbit. It really just depended on what my hand was. And then we played one copy of Little Knight. I'm so happy you guys can play this card finally with the reprint announced. We played one copy of PSY-Frame Lord Lambda. Card is very good. One copy of Avramax. This is probably the main flex spot in the extra deck. I don't think you really need to play this card. I've summoned it once and honestly, it was cute, but you don't need this card. This could be literally anything else. If anything, what I want to change this card to is probably going to be a number 2 Ninja Mosquito, because that card honestly just seems a lot better than this. And then on top of that too, it's just better for when you make Zeus, because I did play Zeus in the extra deck, which I'll show you. But I did play 2 copies of Gigantic Sprite, and then I played 1 copy of Toad, 1 Wave High King Caesar, and then the 1 Zeus. Like I said, I want to be able to make this card without having to waste a Gigantic, because I did have to do that, and honestly, I kind of lost the game from there. So I definitely don't recommend doing that. I would play the number 2 instead. And then I played 1 copy of Omega, just in case I happened to PSY-Frame during my turn. And then I played the 1 Necroquip Princess, because the card is just how you make Caesar. So that is going to do it for the deck profile, guys. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these, but granted, the last deck that I also did on the channel was Spright Fiendsmith. But honestly, it's just the deck that I have the most fun with playing. It's the most fun I have deck building as well. Basically, Spright is just my favorite deck in the game right now. I mean, I still love Lightsworns, don't get me wrong. I think it's really cool that Grass came back. What I don't like about the ban list, though, if I may add for a second on this outro, is that I don't like that Shifter didn't get banned. So that's just how I feel. I don't really think the ban list was too bad. I think it was actually quite nice, to be honest. But again, Shifter not being banned is one of those things that just makes me prevent from wanting to play a grass deck. But other than that, I like this deck a lot, and I think it's going to be a underrated contender for the upcoming format. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you would like to change, if there is anything. And until next time, guys, hopefully I will get an upload up a lot sooner. But this has been Papa, and I will catch you all in my next video.